So Niels, do what you're doing. There we go. I'll pass the mic back to the middle.
Pass the mic. All right. So we're in the second semifinals, as already stated, with Ruben Notes, a player from the St. Niklaas area. St. Niklaas area, against Kobe Keimeulen, who is a Ghent-based player that actually went on and became the embodiment of the Bredene leaderboard. So very much a clash of areas here. Ruben has become more present in Ghent, coming over for the occasional event.
And is also very, very present in everything we do on Arena.
Yeah, so really interesting. Yeah, I still forget the Arena thingy because Sander is the man in charge there. So Ruben on Mono Blue Aggro, Kobe on Esper Control. It should be interesting. We'll probably see Ruben, as usual, it's the only thing Mono Blue does pretty much, trying to pressure for as much advantage as fast as possible, and hope to close out the game before Kobe can chain multiple strong spells together in a single turn. And that said, I do have a feeling that it's an uphill battle
for Ruben.
For Ruben? Really?
I don't know that. I thought that's what you were going for.
No.
There's an interesting, or should I say, there's an interesting dynamic in Kobe's deck list, because Kobe is running. Oh no, never mind. I thought he was running Healing Graces in the main, but he is not. Which is an interesting dynamic because it stops the Curious Obsession from actually drawing a card. But he is playing a lot of cheap interaction in his sideboard with the Healing Grace and Demystify to deal with that obsession.
I also see the fungal infection main
Yep.
could be extremely relevant.
I missed out on those. Oh yeah, there they are. Three of them in the main.
If Ruben gets a good interactive hand,
Yep.
the only thing a deck like Kobe's does is target creatures to solve them. And if there's one thing that Mono Blue is really good at
target
stopping,
and Cry of the Carnarium.
Fair.
Yeah.
I mean,
and if I'm not mistaken, Ruben has a Sphinx of Foresight in his hand, which is going to allow him to scry 3 cards.
Yeah, Kobo's already mulliganing, is looking at 6 cards, flashed them to us, and I think I saw 5 or even 6 lands.
Yeah, it's very rough. Tom, indeed, no one's going to side that in against Mono Blue. Absolutely true, but I always thought they were in the main deck, which is why I was talking about those cards. Now, Kobo going on to 5. This is very sad. Can we get Despacito, please?
Do I have Despacito?
No, please don't. Please don't.
I don't think I do.
Do you have a sad violin? Yes, you do.
Obviously.
To the left. I know I should not be doing this. I mean, a friend of mine is getting to play semifinals and is being screwed over royally by his deck right now. But you know, I'm in the entertainment business, right?
I saw 2 good cards in land
me
and
too.
fungal infection.
But I saw only 1 land.
You scry first and then the Sphinx gets to play.
Yep. Kobe is scrying to the bottom. And now the scry Sphinx get to scry.
Better than sitting on the sideline.
Oh yeah. No. Very true. I mean, I'm not gonna...
Making it to the semis is pretty juicy.
It's crazy. I mean, it's well deserved. Let me be clear on that. Kobe is a great player, especially if you hand him a control deck, he is going to crush it. His deck might not always work exactly as it was planned. The matchups might always fall correctly, but he will always play at a high level. That is 100%.
We've seen that in Bredene. He's been a very consistent force there.
Like, I joke around a lot with people, especially a friend of mine, but I definitely can acknowledge that he is good. Okay, so Ruben decides to run out his Terramander turn 1. Kobe needs to figure out what he wants to do here. Decides to Fungal Infection it straight away. I can totally agree on that. Mono Blue is definitely the type of deck that needs to have a creature, stick a Curious Obsession on it, and then go off. So if you can kill a creature that they can never protect, then I think you should definitely do it. But Koba missing out on land drop number 2 for the second time.
It starts a small discussion though. Koba is 3 cards down.
Yes.
If he just trades 1 for 1, he's going to extend the uphill battle deep into the mid game.
True.
The alternative is
letting him untap, play Curious Obsession with Spell Pierce backup, and lose the game on the spot.
Or getting back into it.
With which card?
Because Ruben is... With which card?
If you let Ruben play the Curious Obsession and the Spell Pierce, then Ruben starts drawing cards.
You're so far behind already anyway.
Yeah.
The chances of winning 3 cards down against this deck is very low.
True. So the question is basically what puts you down lower, risking them just going Curious Obsession, Spell Pierce, and beating, or fair point. Good call.
I'm not saying it's a you should have done this.
No.
But it's something that
it's definitely a good point of discussion where it might be better to play for the line where you. Yep, and there's a Spell Pierce. It might be better if you play for the line indeed, but honestly, there's
Spell Pierce. See. So if it would have happened the way I would have done it, he would have Spell Pierced the...
there's a second Spell Pierce in the hand, buddy.
Okay.
But no, I get it.
I'm just saying.
I get what you're saying, but he also would have drawn 2 or 3 extra cards already. So
yes, but you have to...
Yeah, no, I understand.
And that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally get what you're saying, and I can totally agree with it. Let's just say that starting at 5 cards against mono blue is not where you want to be, ever, basically.
No, it's true, and for exactly that reason. And I think this, in generally, even amongst good players, changing your play style in accordance to the macro position you are in, and sculpting up a scenario where if they have it, you don't care because you're losing anyway, and you need them to not have it and then play as though they don't have it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is very underrated.
Maniac Rex, I can see what you're saying, but it is a fact that I was saying to protect the player commander if you have the Curious Obsession to cast on it as well. Not saying that you Spell Pierce just a removal spell. No. You Spell Pierce it to protect the Curious Obsession you're trying to put on the creature, not the creature itself. Because that's Curious Obsession will draw you enough cards to be able to fight against that Cry of the Carnarium that's coming up.
Yeah. Ruben has a Jace Cunning Castaway, also known as a significantly worse Curious Obsession.
Yes. Is also known as Hot Damned Shirtless Jace.
The Naked Shoulder.
Yes. And also known as soon to be infinite comboing with Nicol Bolas Dragon God. That's gonna be fun. In the meantime, Ruben feels himself to be in a very demanding position.
The discard from Jace ability.
Yep, and is then questioning, okay, what can I do to play around as much cards as possible? Koba seems to have drawn a nice stream of lands the last couple of turns to give him as much chance to get back in this as possible, but it is, as you said, an incredibly uphill battle here. 5 life, facing down 4 power, and an active and upticking Jace Cunning Castaway.
Yeah, he has Teferi. Yes, Teferi Essence Scatter. You guys can probably see it better than I do. Syncopate and a 4th card.
Yep. None of which really straight away win the game. And that 4th card is a Chemister's Insight, by the way. But none of which really straight away win the game. Okay, so Teferi gets Spell Pierced. Very, very painful there. And with that, Koba is shields down for the Jace uptick. Swing for 4 damage. Hit Koba down to 1. Draw, then discard a card. So step 1 to winning is basically resolve a Cry of the Carnarium. That is right now the step you need to make to get out of this sticky position. But Koba does not have it and scoops him up and goes to the sideboard. Let's do the mono blue sideboard first, because I feel like this is easier to talk about than the control sideboard, especially because Koba has so many spicy cards. And yes, I'll take another shot at Westies tonight. Westies, a great bar just off St. Peter's Square here in Ghent. Definitely visit. It's karaoke tonight.
It's also the Ghent Easter rugby dress-up party tonight.
The what now? What now?
There's a rugby party.
Is Jelle Geesling also going there?
I don't know.
Because Jelle also has a party tonight, I think. Anyway, actual sideboarding talk. So, Ruben Notes has access to 3 Deep Freeze, 1 Disdainful Stroke, 1 Spell Pierce, 2 Negate, 3 Essence Scatter, 2 Fairy Duelist, 3 Omen Speaker. So, given the context of what he's playing against, you definitely want to add that Spell Pierce and those Negates to be able to protect your creatures even better. I see that he is playing no main deck Essence Scatters that he needs to cut, but he could cut down on the Syncopates to just go for the straight up. I mean, he knows Koba is on straight up control, so he can just bring in the straight up non-creature spell counters and Spell Pierce and Negate. And I think maybe a Disdainful Stroke, but that would be just about it, in my opinion, for mono blue. You think you agree?
I agree.
So, onto the interesting sideboard.
So for Koba, in my sultry voice, we have 3 Duresses, 3 Healing Grace, 3 Negate, 2 Moment of Craving, 2 Duty Embrace, Undercity Embrace, 2 Demystify, and 1 Cancel.
Is that a 2? Because if I were deck checking that, I don't think I would.
I think Koba had a game loss for having 16
also
sideboard
possible.
cards.
Also
so
possible.
this was corrected.
Yeah. Okay, fair.
So definitely coming in is
so we have no idea
Duresses.
how many Demystifies there is actually in there. Yeah. So I think what you bring in here. Okay.
Because otherwise he has 16 cards.
Okay, fair. What I think you bring in here is indeed the Duresses, but also Moment of Craving and Demystify. Demystify because your dive downs to protect your Curious Obsession creature. Bollocks to those, you just blow up the obsession itself.
The interesting thing is as well that Undercity Embrace dodges Siren, Storm Tamer, and Dive Down.
It does not. Wait, doesn't Undercity Embrace target an opponent?
Ah, yes. It's a
so it doesn't dodge that. And also, I don't feel that mono blue will often have only 1 creature in play.
I don't think that he's bringing it in.
Yeah,
just
fair.
I find it interesting to figure out what that card is there for.
Yeah, that's the Undercity Embrace.
Yeah.
Because
Carnage
you don't want to lose to
Divine
Carnage
Mare?
Tyrants, you don't want to lose to Divine Mare decks, you don't want to lose to the Drake decks.
Sure.
Because it's also good in the Gates matchup. I mean, how often do you see Gates with more than 1 threat in play?
Yeah. We have 1 point here as well.
Yeah, that's fair. Though I don't think you want that then against control. I mean, no. The Syncopates are in main deck right now, and I think he's going to bring them out against control because 1, he has not seen any Colossuses on Koba's side, and 2, if control plays a Colossus, it's usually when they have like 6-7 gates in play, and they will definitely have plenty of mana to pay for your Syncopates. But the interesting question here is on Koba's side. So we mentioned a good amount of cards that we would want to bring in. The question is, what can you take out?
Probably taking out the slow interactive cards.
Things like Ixalan's Binding, Eldest Reborn, Revitalize. Oh yeah, I would definitely bring out all of those.
And that's already space enough for everything.
Exactly. I forgot there were 3 of those in the main deck. I just cannot ever imagine Revitalize being good in mono blue, in the mono blue matchup. That just seems. I mean, in my experience, the matchup requires you to be using all of your mana on interaction or card draw all of the time. And if you're drawing cards, you need to draw a lot of cards for as little mana as possible. And I don't feel that card really solves that problem. I think you would just want to use your mana for the things we talked about before the game, right? The fungal infections, a blink of an eye, stuff like that, to make sure your opponent draws as little cards as possible. And then once he's run out of answers, things like Spell Pierce, things like Negate, you get to get them to move out a bit, because ideally you stop some Curious Obsessions, so they go wide instead of tall on one thing, and then you hit them with a Cry. I think that's where you want to be. Obviously, thanks to the gates and the fact that, you know, your answers are usually slower than their threats plus answers, it gets difficult to actually complete this plan.
Yeah. In that regard, Mono Blue is a extremely elegant deck.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Like,
I really love the deck. I love playing against it. I love playing with it because it is elegant, and it sometimes just loses to itself, which is always a concept I find hilarious in a deck. Sometimes it just loses to drawing cards in the wrong order. But if you know the deck, if you know the answers your opponent might have, you have such a powerful deck, because you have a fast clock that generates you card advantage, and 1 mana answers to your opponent's answers.
I also think it's the card that requires you to know most about your opponent's deck compared to any other deck in the meta right now.
Yep. You definitely need to know what other people are doing, and and especially in Gentry, you don't need to just know what the top decks are doing. You need to know what interaction is available in the format against me, so that people who bring an off-meta deck, you still know what they can have for interaction depending on their colors. So great kudos to everyone who chooses to play it, and definitely to people like Ruben who made it far, and definitely to Ruben specifically for making it to the semi-finals here, and 1 game up with what is, I think, universally agreed and objectively a difficult deck to pilot correctly.
Yeah, because it looks simple, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you're
play an
agonizing.
unblockable guy, put a Curious Obsession on it, bam for a lot.
But you're agonizing over the turn 4. Do I play a 1/1?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a make or break decision in different matchups. It's just mind-boggling what this deck demands that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Koba goes for it with a Guild Gate.
Or you get the God Hand every time and you just luck-sack yourself into...
Yeah, sometimes that also just happens, but well. Ruben starts off with a Mistcloak Herald. Koba follows up with the second Guild Gate and Duress, trying to strip any relevant cards from Ruben's hand. So we can talk about Ruben's hand loudly. There's 3 islands, a Siren Storm Tamer, an Opt, and a Dive Down. Interesting. Koba gets to get rid of a Dive Down before it becomes relevant. Yep. So
not a lot of action in that hand.
Indeed. And that is also one of the things that Mono Blue has. As the Mono Blue's opponent, you're always fearing what they might have in hand, because you need to constantly have that response to make sure their Curious Obsession doesn't stick, so they can't get hit with that, stuff like that. But once you as Mono Blue have to let through something like a Duress, and your opponent knows what you've got going on or what you don't have going on, depending on the situation.
Yeah, it usually looks a lot less scary.
Yeah, exactly. The potential of craziness from Mono Blue is usually way more scary than what they're actually doing, but you have to still respect it. Okay, so Ruben deploys that Siren Storm Tamer, leaving up the 1 blue required to activate it or cast many of his spells. For example, the Opt we know that is in his hand. Koba, turn 3, untapped land. Boom, Kaya, Orzhov, Usurper. Powerhouse in the matchup.
Yes.
Absolutely crazy card in the matchup.
Yes, in this matchup, no discussion.
Boop. Take out the Siren Storm Tamer, still at 2 loyalty. Ruben plays the Opt.
Yeah.
Koba shields down for just a moment. This is the point where Ruben wants to play a Curious Obsession on that Mistcloak Herald and kill that Kaya, because Kaya will take down to kill your 1-drop again and again and again and again. Yep. Boom. She goes down to 1. We have a fan of Koba in the chat. Hey, Lars.
Okay, 34 viewers. Welcome.
Hi. In the meantime, though, Ruben knocked Kaya down to 1 loyalty. Now the question is, what is Koba's follow-up? He's got a great source of advantage in this matchup, but you have to back it up with something else, or it will get run over by those 1/1 unblockable guys. So, let's see what he wants to be doing. Sadly, he's got the same issue I have when playing Magic, which is the constant flicking of cards.
So he can actually seal away 1 and take Kaya up
to make it survive. Absolutely true. Oh, and he's going straight for it right now.
Yeah.
To not give Ruben that extra draw, because
Well, you need to know if there's
Yeah.
interaction for it, and you have
Mhm.
to tick it down after
Mhm.
all.
Yep. So that resolving is very powerful. Now you get to... The question is, because if you tick it up and your opponent hits the Curious Obsession... Yeah. Though I think...
But Curious
it's
Obsession
difficult.
is only when you deal damage to the player, right?
Yeah, I know, but still, then Ruben would have that. Yeah, but then the thing is,
But
Kobe
then you
knows.
have-
I think Kobe knows about all but one of the cards in Ruben's hand. So
No.
Kobe decides to tick it down after all. Loses the
Interesting.
Kaya. Make sure those cards that he exiled with them are actually exiled, not in the graveyard for use later. Ruben finds the 4th land and passes the turn. Okay, so no early aggression from from Ruben, but that does not in any way, shape, or form mean that Kobe is actually going to win. Shouldn't you wait it until Ruben's upkeep? Possibly, but that would give him 1 more mana. So there's an argument for both sides, Maniac Rex.
Yep.
So
No, it doesn't. You want to do it before activating Kaya to know.
Yeah, but you want
the
to uptick or
interaction
downtick.
is.
Yep, I can see what you're on about. So Koba has resolved the Gate Colossus, but beginning of combat, floop, flash in the Trickster to tap down the Gate Colossus. Lars, in the meantime, telling Koba to turn his deck the right way up so he doesn't draw his cards upside down. Very funny to me. Koba actually touching his deck because he heard me talk about that is pretty funny. And step,
That's a big one for
Chemistry's
Kubo.
Insight.
Because
Kubo.
Kubo was down to 1 or 2 cards.
And there he goes.
Hey! The chat is going uncrazy.
Boom. Untaps. Lars hyping about the turning of the deck.
It gave him the Hebei GABA.
Vin and Swiftblade says lol W. If I remember correctly, that would be Koba's brother.
Oh, really?
Yes. I remember that username from the Invitational. You talked with Koba about it. There we go. Ruben tries to bounce something. Given the way he's pointing it at the table, I would assume he is blink of an eye in the Gate Colossus in response to its attack.
Blink of an eye. In.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
No, I like it.
Okay.
Blinking of an eye.
No, then it would just be blinking of an eye. Yes, I remembered correctly. Okay, so the Gate Colossus is back in hand. If you're Kobe, do you care about redeploying it straight away?
Well, usually there's a reason for them to do that, and
That's,
the reason most likely is because they have a counterspell for it on the way
Yeah.
down. So I understand.
Not want to do a straightforward. But what counterspell can counter a Gate Colossus with a single blue mana?
He only has a.
Yeah. And
okay.
Koba played the Excellence Binding into a potential Spell Pierce, and that takes away the Murph
In
of
that
Trickster.
case, I would have done it the other way around.
Yeah, but what we see here is Koba just cleaning up the board entirely, turning off all future Tricksters. Now this is Koba getting a good look on the game with Ruben only 3 cards in hand, no active things going on.
Yeah, Ruben with the trademarked mono blue losing to itself.
Yep. And then the question is, Koba, boom, redeploys that Gate Colossus.
I was gonna make a joke, but it doesn't make sense.
Okay, well.
Like most of the other ones I made.
There is a Terramander. But will that be enough? With 3 instants and sorceries in the graveyard, apparently.
Well, no, because that means that. Did
Yeah.
you see it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yep. That's also a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough cookie to crack.
Yep, though I think if you're Kobe here, you want to just commences the booping.
The booping shall now commence.
Takes 9 life points off of Ruben's total, sending him down to 10 life. Crucially, still a 2-turn clock. Having to give him that 1 extra turn to potentially start interacting.
Maybe. So there's a fungal infection in the hand, and I think
Oh, I missed that.
yeah, he really should play it here because
Oh, yeah.
there's no protection for it right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, or you can just wait until the next turn to make sure you don't get blown out by anything. So, Koba does go for it.
He had mana
in response
enough.
to the adapt,
I thought he
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
have we thought we only had
no,
3
Oh,
spells
no,
there.
he had 3 spells.
No.
No, he
More.
had 3 spells and 5 mana.
I thought those
Yeah.
were tapped.
No,
Okay,
he had 5
whatever.
mana. So, game 3.
Dun, dun, dun.
So after a crushing victory on Ruben's side in game 1 with Koba mulliganing to 5, we see Ruben getting a less than optimal draw on the mono blue side for Koba's win, and we're going to a game 3, the absolute decider. Which one of these champions with a good matchup against Swords of Aggro will get to face off against against former Gentry Open champion Jelle Gijseling, not reigning champion. The reigning champion is crying right now. And yes, that is me. Woe is me.
Is this Kobe? I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my fingers.
I am fan of both of these players. I would be very happy to see either of them defeat Jelle in the finals.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, so Jelle is within earshot of us. So I mean, the outpost is basically empty by now.
The head judge is interfering with our unsportsmanlike remarks.
What? It's only a bit of trash talk. Ruben is revisiting the sideboard, interestingly.
Both of them.
Oh, I didn't even notice Koba was also doing that. The glare of Koba's sleeves is making it look like there's a divine intervention happening. His hands being all lit up. So the gods are intervening with the sideboard plans.
Thou shalt not sideboard.
Incorrectly.
Also, in the chat, just
yes.
I have nothing else to say here. Torniol. I assume it's
Hearing our bullshit must be so annoying for the players right now.
For some reason, the
reigning
viewership is
joke,
going
yeah.
up, though.
Wait, no. I didn't make a joke about reigning. I actually just meant reigning champion, not as in reigning, just...
You know, like...
I wasn't even making a pun! Exactly that.
Was the tiara actually done?
No clue. I mean, no, because otherwise someone of the top 8 would be wearing it, right?
No.
Not
It could
necessarily.
have been lost in the cut.
Maybe.
It's possible that it ends up with somebody...
Okay, yeah, fair. I didn't see Niels van der Velde wear it, though, so I don't think it was done. Oops.
Horrible. Profit 6 extra boosters for me.
I mean, if I had started with it, I would have remembered, but I never managed to reclaim it after I lost it.
Well, we'll have a new tiara wearing bloke after this.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, because, well, no, if Ruben wins the whole thing, then the tiara gets shipped off to Sydney class. We won't actually do that, of course, but...
no.
Yeah, Lars, we did not at all see that joke there.
It's raining jokes. No, you guys...
Somehow
Are
your
on a
jokes
different
are
level.
even worse than our jokes.
Well, I
Oh
think...
snap, your thing crashed.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nope.
While we wait for this to finish...
A few moments later.
One eternity later. Don't stop believing.
Or
Right
the
here.
pink button. It's time for the... No, this
No.
is for when we get Jelle in the final.
Yes. Oh, look at that. Ruben starting off with a Sphinx of Foresight again.
I would love to have an infinitely large data set to see what the average win chance is of mono blue and what the average win chance is of mono blue revealing Sphinx on turn 0.
Well, probably a ton higher. Though then again,
Oh, really? No,
You would
wait, I
also-
thought it was lower.
then again, you would also keep more janky hands if you get to scry 3. So anyway, Ruben starts off with the dream: Terramander into tap land, into Curious Obsession, and a blue mana. Open the
This,
boop.
this is looking like the God Hand.
Yep. So far, everything is going according to plan for Ruben. Untapped land for Kobe, though, crucially. And the question is, if you have the interaction to kill it, do you play it now?
You'll have to.
Or do you wait until their upkeep?
That's a good point.
Kobe decides neither, or does not have the interaction. Oh, there's a Storm Tamer
If
for
that
some
resolves,
additional protection. But if that resolves, the advantage bar, which we don't have because we're not professional casters, would be starting to flow strongly to Ruben's end. There's the Essence Scatter, which gets spell pierced. Oof. As the memesters would say.
excuse you?
What are you doing to
I don't know.
Scryfall?
I was pressing enter.
There we go. Whoa. What are you doing?
I'm checking if we're dropping frames.
Oh, okay.
Because it looked like we lost internet.
Ah,
But we
okay.
didn't.
So, Koba has passed the turn. Ruben gets to play Shields Up again.
Alright. At least Kobe is getting the interaction he needs to stay in this game.
Yep, for sure. Manages to clear off that Storm Tamer. Is now followed up with a Mistcloaked Herald, but Ruben is still drawing tons of cards off that Curious Obsession.
And we already see an extra spell pierce in the hand for protection that Kobe will need to fight around or through.
Yeah, and then again, with this untapped land that Kobe is thinking about playing, that gets through it. It's Dive Down that is a really crushing card. Yeah.
But yeah. There's still other cards that can throw soot in the food.
Very true. Also, Jesus, absolute Christ.
Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
really tough puzzle for Kobe to
Yeah.
crack here.
Absolutely, and it's also this kind of situation where it's so easy for you to get lost in the thoughts of where did I go wrong, how am I losing this, that whole thought process that you really can't give into.
No, because it's
Um,
mono blue.
yeah.
The answer is so
Boom.
quick
spell
and
push again.
short.
Yep.
It's mono blue sculpting its perfect hand. That's what it is. But Kobe is doing really
Yeah,
well
Kobe
at,
is-
at depleting the resources.
Exactly. I think crushing as though this is seeming, given the power level of Ruben's hand, he's doing the best he can. But there's the Tempest Djinn as
Yeah.
a 4/4.
So Ruben now shifting gears into finishing the match rather than solidifying his position.
Yeah, and with an opponent at 11, that's probably a good plan. But he does leave himself pretty shields down with only a single blue source for interaction.
The alternative he had was playing the Siren Storm Tamer here, which would have given him 2 sources of protection, and then had the option of going Sphinx the next turn with hopefully a mana extra up
There
and 2 protections.
Is Undercity Embrace being played on Koba's side of the battlefield,
I feel that this is just
making
too
Ruben-
slow
Yeah,
for this matchup.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
it also
sacrifice
usually
your
just hits a
Mistcloak.
1/1. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's the Storm Tamer again. Go with only 1 mana of interaction and being prepared to take a hit of 7 damage, going down to 4 life.
Also,
This is not looking like a place I would want to be in if I were Koba.
also Terramander is getting close to.
Oh yeah, actually activating. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So both the Pteramander and the.
But first, draw off the Curious Obsession and pass the turn.
So we have Siren Storm, Tamer, Protection up, and 4 cards in the hand against an empty board that Kobe that has to deal with 2 lethal threats.
Yep. So he would need exactly no interaction on the opponent's side and a Cry of the Carnarium into Undercity's Embracer.
Settle the score?
The wreckage, yes. But that's not good enough because you sacrifice your Storm Tamer to counter it. Just as in the last round, the writing is becoming clear on these walls. Moment of Craving tries to take out the Pteramander, but that gets dive downed. And Kobe scoops him up after a crushing turn of events in Game 3. An amazing run for Kobe for his first top 8. Played well, but Mono Blue sometimes just
Wins.
wins, and there's nothing you can do about it.